Mary's Airport, 2 Whiskey 6.
Where's that at?
It's Southern Maryland, down between the Potomac and Chesapeake Bay.
Oh, so you're in the fun zone.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I haven't been flying, is because my airspace went from a considerable amount of space to everything being closed down between Pax River Naval Air Station on the east side and then the TFR on the left side.
Yeah, that would make me not want to fly either. You know, where we're going to be flying today is uncontrolled airspace, so we're not talking to anybody. The airport here, no tower. No one can land here but us. It's a beautiful thing. I'm going to get the airplane out of here, then I'm going to give it to you, and then you've seen, they've been around enough to know that those guys, when they fly the Mustangs or the Spitfires, they're zigzagging. Now you know why. You can't see anything over the nose at all. But you can see all the way around you. So while you know, visibility's not good ahead of you, you know, it's great behind you. Generally, we don't look behind us. So I'll tell you what, you got it. We're not going to hit anything. There's very little wind. What I'd like you to do, Bob, is take this thing out to the runway here and then go down by the Constellation.
Okay.
And then, because it is a closed field, just, you know, make a 180 down there and then line it up with the center line of our runway. I will tell you this, I'm going to give you a warning. You're going to want a Stearman in about 30 minutes. But you'll have to kind of maybe park it over at it like at Culpeper or someplace right outside the Vale. And find yourself some grass.
Yeah, I actually live closer to Maryland Airport, which is 2 Whiskey 5. But yeah, that's underneath the TFR, and I just don't even want to mess with that.
Nope. That takes all the fun out of it. Man. Although I guess, I don't know, I don't know the whole regulation thing, but if you had something like this with no electrical system in it, are you still grandfathered in? Can you go underneath the shelves of the Class B airspace or not?
No, because with the TFR, it's all the way to the ground.
Oh, okay. Or you have to move to Florida. You know, I tell our people from around the world, they fly this thing, and I tell them, I say, you know, you could fly a Stearman. We could fly a Stearman from here to California to Maine, back to Florida, and we wouldn't have to turn on the radio one time. And they're like, that's unheard of in Europe, anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, and they also charge an arm and a leg just to talk with them.
Exactly. All right, we're going to go through our pre-takeoff checklist here. Now, I know when you're flying your 172, they're big into that whole checklist thing, and that's important. But with the Stearman, you don't want to bring a written checklist with you because it's going to blow out. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the word CIGAR, C-I-G-A-R, as an acronym, and it works really well for, you know, Stearmans and Champs and Cubs and stuff like that. C is for control, so give me a control check, again, like you did before. Make sure it's all free and clear, nothing's binding up. Looks like it's working okay. Does it feel okay?
Feels good.
All right. I is instruments, altimeter, make sure that's set on 0, so we know exactly where the ground is. Airspeed 0, the ball's in the middle. And by the way, the flight characteristics of a Stearman, if I was to cut your left leg off right now, you'd be fine. You don't need any left rudder ever with it because of the torque, 220 horsepower up in the front. But you're going to use a little bit. And when I say a little bit, you know, like a ½ inch of movement. It doesn't take much. Your tack is bouncing around about 400. And then once you bring the power up a little bit, the oil pressure will come up into the green. And your oil temp is at 50. So we're fine there. G is gasoline right above your head. It's a gravity feed system as you're used to. 2 hours and 40 minutes of fuel. Each quarter tank is about an hour.
Okay.
So we're good to go there. You can see that big bobber's moving, so it's not stuck. Mixtures inside the cockpit, left-hand side, it's all the way forward, all the way rich. And then right ahead of that is your fuel valve. That's either on or off. A is accessories, your elevator trim tab is underneath the left-hand side of the throttle. Move that real quick there, Bob. Feel the, and so what you're doing is you're moving 2 tabs back there, not 1. The Cessnas have 1, this has 2. So if you move it like 1/8 of an inch, it's like moving it 1/4 inch. It's a lot. We'll leave it right about there where it's at. We don't need carb heat. That's right by your right elbow. last letter we have is R, that's run up. I want you to go ahead and slide your feet to the tops of the pedals. Stick back to your lap with your right hand. Gently bring the power on in to 1,500 RPM, and I'll do our magneto check. There's 1,200, 13, 14. All right, you can see our mag switch is on the far left-hand side of the panel. I'm going to switch from both to left. Nice and smooth, that's fine. Back to both. Over to right. Fine. Look out the right side of the airplane there, Bob. Look to your right. Air show smoke, just so you know. All right, you can bring the power on back. I like to have fun when I fly. That's why I fly. All right. Basically, you're lined up with just about the center line of our runway. So the idea is when you bring the power in, you want to look straight ahead, focus on infinity, and when you do so, you're going to start to see these little white runway markers going by.
Right.
If you look left and look right, you're going to go left and you're going to go right. So the idea is we want to go straight. So we look straight, and what'll happen again is the tail's going to come off the ground. When that happens, it's ready to fly. So you just gently bring it off the ground, and airspeed is more important than altitude, so you lower the nose, get 75 miles an hour out of it, and off we go. As long as your heels are on the floorboard, bad stuff will not happen. Okay. So whenever you're ready, let's go fly. I'll talk you through it. And just stick a little bit farther forward. That's about it. All right, here we go. So, lower the nose a little bit, there we go. That's about neutral. Little right rudder. You got a little bit of a crosswind. Back to your right. Now I want you to lower the nose for me. Give me 75 out of it. Looks like we got a little rain shower ahead of us. And we'll bring the power back to 1750. Perfect. Nice. What a day to fly. Look at this, a nice horizon there. Now down below you to your right, we have Interstate 4. I want you to make a shallow right-hand turn. Watch this tower over here. And we'll be on the right-hand side of I-4 there. Perfect, we'll roll the wings back to level here. I'm going to say that that shower off our left will hit Fantasy of Flight. It's moving at northeast at like 10.
Okay.
So by the time we get back, it'll have rain there. We will be dry, however. Now, right off your right wing, we have a lake right here. Okay. And then right over the nose, we have another lake. I want you to continue flying straight. Once we get to the next lake, we'll make a little bit of a correction. We'll go up to the northwest out here. Now, one of the reasons why this airplane is such a great trainer is its speed. I mean, let's be honest. Right now, you're going about 85 or so. It's slow, and so you can mentally keep up with the airplane. Just keep on going straight. Bring that nose up just a little bit more for me. There we go. Beautiful. And we'll bring the power in just a skosh more. Cool. Seat of the pants flying is what this airplane excels at, and also teaches you what your feet are for. Let's make a shallow right-hand turn here. We'll go ahead on up to the north here, Bob. There we go. Now you can see that this airplane is a trainer. Look out, I mean, it's not going to give you much as far as rate of climb. We can power in a little bit more here, about 1825 or so. That's our best rate of climb by RPM. And it should give us about 400 feet per minute rate of climb. Over here, looks good. Now again, right up ahead of you is those wires up there. And those wires are 45. And where we're going to be flying out here today in our practice area, you can look over your shoulders. There's a lot of section lines out here, north, south, east, west. So it's really simple to see which direction you're going. here, for example, this is north and south, and it tees into another east and west up there.
Okay.
Let's make some climbing turns left and right so you kind of get the hang of what this thing needs as far as rudder input. So let's go, we'll make a shallow turn to your left. And again, you'll notice you don't have to use any rudder at all. Very nice. And we'll try one back to your right. So right now we're going to the west. This little subdivision right ahead of you is north, south, east, west. So we'll just kind of make this right-hand turn. And right now we're coming up on 1,000 feet. We'll just keep this climb going. 1,300 feet is plenty high. There we go. I'll tell you what, yesterday was an odd thing. Yeah, I was out flying the other biplane. We had some weather, and so there was just a little shower near fantasy of flight. And it wasn't raining heavy because I could see through it. And then I did a turn and it got a little darker. I did another turn the other direction, got a little darker. That thing developed into a full-fledged lightning-filled thunderstorm in a mile. So I was up flying in it, and I had to get the airplane back on the ground. It was kind of Florida weather is insane sometimes. All right, so when we get up to about 1,200 feet, we'll level out there.
Okay.
So just when you think you have all the weather patterns figured out, something like that happens. And then we'll bring the power back to about 1730 or so. Perfect. Not too loud. While I'm looking around, I'll tell you what, let's try a 360-degree turn to your left. Just put that left wire up there parallel with the horizon and above the horizon. Perfect, just like that. Around you go. You can see which direction you're going. This little line right here, that's a 180 there. .270 there. Want to add a little bit more power. That's probably a good thing. Perfect. 360s here. Let's try one to your right. On this one, you'll have to use a little right rudder. Now, I'll be honest with you with this rudder thing. You're right on the CG. Of course, you're used to that. But when you solo this airplane, you solo the airplane from back here.
Right. And
that's easier because you can really feel the airplane yawing to the left, to the right, because right back here, I'm 5 feet behind the CG. You're about, I don't know, 8 inches behind it. There you go. Nice job. 270 degrees is there. BSI is glued on 0. That works good. We'll roll the wings back to level. Wow, 1,200 feet. You're good. Add about, give me about 75 more RPM. A little bit more. All right, let's try that 60-degree angle of bank turn. Right ahead of you is that strut. You put that strut parallel with the horizon, and around she goes. You'll be surprised at how fast this thing turns. Right there. Now, there's an accelerated stall right there. You see what it did? It kind of rolled out of it?
Rolled right out of it.
Yeah. Which is cool. Think about that. You're 18 years old. You're doing this kind of stuff. And in World War II, you actually had to do a 70-degree angle of bank turn. And that was actually just about a full throttle maneuver. And you hit your wash. You're a show-off. Let's try one to the right. That was good. That was cool. That rarely happens. There you go. Nice job. 180. 270. Look at that. And that passes. Beautiful job. I'm impressed. I really am. Most people lose about 300 feet with that. Good, because, you know, once you get your pilot's license, you rarely start, you know, cruise out there and practice 60-degree angle of bank turns.
Right.
I tell you what, you said you knew how to do these lazy eights. Remember, the shallower your angle of bank, the better the maneuver is. If you do a, you know, like a steep turn and then pull the stick back like 40 degrees or so, what you're doing basically is a modified split S. And what we're looking for is vertical penetration. There's no one around you. We got plenty of altitude. Let's try a lazy eight to your left. Love that. Good. Hold it right there. Great job. Listen to it. Let it speed up going downhill. Then to start rolling it on out. Do the same thing to your right. Nice job. 10 degrees and bring that nose on up. you do one of these to the right, you have to use a little right rudder pedal pressure over the top.
Okay.
So let's try right-hand turn. So 10 degrees and bring it on up. Good. Now as she slows down, the power's a constant, so they increase, the torque will increase. Perfect. So you have to keep feeding in more and more right rudder as she slows down. Great job. And we'll roll the wings back to level. Nice. Kind of fun, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll bring the power back to about 1750. Let's do a complete lazy here, Bob. One to the left, followed by one to the right. No stopping in between the two. Whenever you're ready, let's try it. 10 degrees and bring it on up. Air show smoke. You're at Oshkosh today. Beautiful. I'm running out of air show smoke. I fill my tank good. Now listen to it. There's 80, 85, there's 90, 95, 10 degrees to your right. Bring it on up. Beautiful. Little right rudder right here over the top. Now the more of those you do, the more comfortable you become. Now most people don't know how to do those. Did you learn that in the Aerobat?
Actually, my dad's a pilot. I never really practiced them too often, but I basically taught myself. But yeah, I did it in a 150.
150, yeah. Those are nice. When you do these for your commercial, you pick a section line right here, and you bring the nose on up. If you don't move anything, the nose will fall through the horizon 90 degrees. We're just about on it. Let's try another one to your left. Good. Now hold it right here. Now watch what happens. Don't move anything. The nose will fall through the horizon 90 degrees, and you focus in on that. Start rolling it to your right. There's a section line right down there underneath you. Roll it right on through. 10 degrees to your right. So basically, it is a ground reference maneuver. Up you go. Love that. It's just not the same in a 172, you know?
Not at all.
And there's about 2 Gs that the airplane can barely feel. Great job. We'll bring some power back in. Let's go back up to 1,000 feet. Great job. I would have never, if you didn't tell me you haven't flown for 3 years, I would have never thought that. Now you're flying it well. Let's do a 180 left or right. Your choice. We'll go back to the south. Bob, what do you think so far? Does the airplane fly like you thought it was going to fly? Is it better? Is it worse? Easier? Harder?
It is so docile and gentle. It's incredible.
Well, you ain't seen nothing yet, as they say. Anytime I fly an airplane for the first time, I always like to go up and stall the thing, because I want to see what to expect with it, right? Wait till this thing stalls. We'll climb to 1,000. We'll do a partial power on stall. That's the most docile of all stalls you can do. And then we'll progress into a power on and a power off stall. Now, you already saw what it did in an accelerated stall. Nothing, right? It just says, oh, you're 18. You don't know what you're doing. I'll help you here. This is a fun exercise for most people. My last guy was he flew it really well, but he was a motor glider pilot, so he was used to listening to it. All right, let's go ahead and level the airplane here and gently bring the power back to about 1,300 RPM. Good. Now at this point, just go ahead and lower the nose. Put it into a shallow dive. There you go. Tell me when you hear the whistle of the wind and the wires. Don't look at the instruments. Do you hear that whistle?
Yes.
All right, bring it back to level flight. Now just listen to it. Increase your angle of attack. There you go. Keep bringing that nose on up. Come on back some more. Come on back. Now when it stalls, hold the stick right where it's at. Here's your stall right here.
That's not a stall.
No. Isn't that unbelievable, though?
Wow.
How nice is that? Now remember, you're 18 years old. You had between 8 and 12 hours of instruction before you soloed. Bring the power back in and away you go. Now the airplane was actually too docile for the Army Air Corps in World War II. So they put spin strips on the leading edges of the lower wings so that the airplane would stall faster, it would spin faster, and it would snap roll faster. But in this day and age, why would you want that? You know, my buddy of mine's got a Stearman and he wanted an original. And I'm like, man, you put that spin strips on it, made it worse. Let's try a power on stall. Watch what it does in a power on stall. Just keep the ball in the middle. That's good right there. Just should stall at this angle of attack right here. Now, if you look out here, look between the wing struts. You'll see the fabric flapping around right there. Right there. You see it? That's the stall happening on the wing. There's your power on stall. Now, what would you say if I told you on this next stall, the airplane is going to, you can actually smell it happen before you can smell the exhaust fumes coming into the cockpit.
I'll take your word for it.
You don't want to do that?
All right, go for it.
Let's try it. Just bring the power back a little bit. Actually, just keep it flying. You want to bring the power all the way to idle. There you go. Now start bringing it on up. Right about 5 miles an hour above stall, you'll start to smell it. I can start to smell it right about here.
Oh yeah.
You can feel the heat coming in the cockpit. Here's your stall. It's nice and right there. How nice. And away you go. All right, just bring the power back a little bit. Cool. So anyways, now you know why they built so many of these things. There's so many still left because they're strong as nails. They built the equivalent of 2,500 airplanes in parts to keep these airplanes flying. So we can get brand new stuff even today as far as parts go. Hey, listen, great job. We got about 8 more minutes before we have to head back. Have some fun. We'll make a left-hand turn. So if you want to do some more lazy eights, that's cool.
How low can I go?
300 feet.
All right.
Let's do it. Everybody likes to fly Stearman low. I don't know why that is.
Because you don't get to do it anywhere else.
That's exactly right. That's why I do it all the time. 4 years ago, I flew this thing up to Illinois for the National Stearman fly-in. I flew it all the way up there. Only at one time was I above 1,000 feet, and that was 1,500 feet going around Chattanooga. Their hills are pretty rugged in there. I believe you're going to get some extra flight time, man. That rain's going to go right to Fantasy of Flight. We'll have to let it go through.
Not going to hear me complain.
I don't think you would. There we go. It is starting to rain over there now. So the deal was, let's see, 8 to 12 hours in this Stearman until you solo. From there you go on, and then there was 65 hours in your primary trade syllabus. From there you go on to the BT-13, basic trainer. You fly that for 100 hours, night flight, instrument training, formation work in that. Then the Harvard T6, fly that 100 hours. And so basically you have right around 300 hours,
okay.
You know, plus or minus. And then you're flying at P-51. They say generally, you know, when you're flying your T6, when you could solo the T6 from the rear cockpit, you're ready to go in the Mustang. But this is a fabulous airplane. It is not the easiest thing, however, to land. It's got that really narrow landing gear, high center of gravity, so let's go a little lower. See if we can find some cows.
Have a lot of deer around here?
Yeah, I rarely see them. I never have seen them in Fantasy of Flight. I have seen some out here. We have a problem with those wild boars out here.
Yeah, I've just seen a lot of hunting blinds up all over.
Oh, yeah. Well, this particular Stearman was auctioned off 1946. Auctioned off for $310. And the deal was that a lot of these things, when the war was over, they took them out to Hill Air Force Base. There's 3 big hangars out there. That's where, that's in Ogden, Utah.
Yes.
And they put them on their noses out there, so they get 4 airplanes in a hangar. And so if your bid was accepted, you took the train to Ogden and you picked up your Stearman. And so this airplane was flown out to California. Oh, and the other interesting thing was you could not have, they repainted them because they did not want a bunch of military airplanes flooding the market. So, like this airplane was painted red and white. Wow. You know what, I want to try something. I'm going to say, based on our last flight, I'll bet you this is going to the northeast, and so we might be able to sneak around the backside of it.
Okay.
You never know. Whatever. Good mean we got a lot of gas on board. After yesterday, I'm not messing with Mother Nature. So anyways, the airplane went out to California. 2 guys bought it. They used it as a toy until 1950. 1950, they sold it to the Mosquito Abatement Company. They tried to kill mosquitoes with it, put DDT in a tank in their front cockpit, and went out in the early morning or in the evening to try and kill the mosquitoes. But I mean, let's be honest, you could smell that stuff, you know. And
right.
so ultimately, it became a full-fledged crop duster with the Pratt & Whitney 985 on it. It was wrecked in 1972. My father picked it up for $500, and literally picked it up because it was in pieces. And it took him 20 years to restore it. So she's just we've had it for 41 years now.
Beautiful plane.
Yeah.
How often do you have to recover it?
We took it apart about 4 years ago because it took them so long to rebuild it that after 20 years of sitting in the shop in California, you know, things were beginning to rust and it hadn't even flown yet. So we flew it about 850 hours and it was time because, you know, down here in Fantasy, if I kind of expect something pretty nice. So we took it apart again. It took about a year for my wife and I to cover the wings. And the wings are, you know, my father built them new. That's just a lot of, like 1,000 hours of labor. And it took the fuselage. A friend of mine, he did that. I don't have enough time to do all that. There's a lot of parts in this thing. Let's make a left-hand turn. Let's head that way. Bob, are you having fun?
I'm having a blast.
Yeah, it looks like it's bigger than I thought it was. Oh well. So we'll hang out over here, and it's moving through. Now Lakeland is right off your right wing. That's, you know, Sun and Fun is over here. You can see Lake Parker. Now, if you were to fly an airplane down here, you would go to that lake right there, and you start circling it. And so you'd be monitoring the radio frequency, and they'd say, you know, Gray's Stearman inbound. So then you fly down I-4 right here, and you go to a big water tower, and then you finally make a left-hand turn, and it would switch in for either a left or right-hand downwind. So a pretty simple way to get her done. Awesome, isn't that pretty?
Absolutely.
Skirting around the rain shower. Now obviously, not a great airplane if you want to go someplace. I told you before, look at your airspeed indicator. You're going 85 miles an hour in our cruise speed. So again, there's a tower right here off your left, just so you know. But flying it is just spectacular. The end of the rain is about a mile off of our end of our runway, so we're looking fine. Since we're over here, I'll give you a little landmark off your right wing. We talked about Lake Parker. If you, on the far right-hand side of that lake, where there was an Army Air Corps training base over here, 225 Stearmans were based right over here. Okay. This was their practice area. The hangars are actually still there for the Stearmans. There's 3 of them. It's where the Detroit Tigers have their spring training baseball stadium. All right. So we had Stearmans in Lakeland. Right ahead of you on the other side of that, the rain shower is Bartow. P-51s and T-6s were down here. This way about an hour, Sebring. You probably heard of Sebring from the car race. B-17s were there. And the car race is actually on the airport because the runways are about, you know, a mile and a half long. That is cool. Perfect timing. This is kind of fun. Let's make a right-hand turn and let's go down a little lower. There's some, this is the old abandoned phosphate mines over here. There's nothing out here. This is where I usually bring the other biplane. Although this morning there was a guy fishing out here. I bet you he just got rained out or capsized. Beautiful. This is why you own a Stearman. For this right here. Man, it's just cutting butter with a hot knife.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. I love it. are old abandoned phosphate mines here. They dredged all the phosphate. And it was the Tenorock company, and then the deal they had with the state was once they got all the phosphate out of it, they would make it into a natural wildlife refuge. And so I'm serious, there's some 10-foot long gators down in there, you know, turtles, and then people can come in here and fish. They stock up the lakes with fish. Now, Winter Haven Airport is right about ahead of you. About an interesting mile.
Okay.
I don't see that boater. He was out here someplace earlier.
So all of this water down here was once pouring.
Yeah. Yeah, and when it's really calm, there's little pockets of phosphate that you'll see in the water. It's like a whitish, you know, bluish white color. Right. And it's just kind of dredging out. But yeah, this is all from them. Let's make a right-hand turn here. We'll head on back. I think we can we'll start heading on back. At least we'll look at them. And of course, nice place for birds to hang out. Now, Fantasy Flight's actually still being rained on. If you come around, you're going to see the tower right there.
Yep.
The end of our runway is about 4 miles away. I don't know. We'll let the wind kind of subside a little bit more, but we'll go on back and then we'll see what the wind's doing. You know, generally that's obviously not a thunder cell, so or it'd be rough as.
I just saw some lightning ahead.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, it's built into a thunder cell. Where'd you see the lightning at?
Right ahead.
All right, let's make a left-hand turn. That's what happened yesterday. Start off as a shower. I know it's a huge, huge storm by the end of the day. For example, right over here, right, Bob, you see there's a little school that's going together. You see like the little domed roof. Yep. It was raining right there, right? Fantasy Flight's right off our right wing a little bit. So I was doing these circles right here, and by the time we got the Fantasy Flight lightning in it, and that's 2 miles, maybe 3 miles at the most. Well, Merry Christmas. I don't know what else. If you want, you got some extra time out here. If you want to do some more maneuvers, or you just want to fly around here, that's fine. We'll head back.
I'm just enjoying flying.
This is it, huh? Your logbook will look good with Boeing N2S3 time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to make sure that I couldn't find it before we came down here, so I got to make sure I marked it all down.
I'll give you something with the N number on it. You know, and the flight time is 30 minutes or more today. And then the ground time is probably at least 10, so you'll be like 0.8
okay.
in it. This is Lakeland on your left hand. You can see actually downtown Lakeland right there on this side. All right, I'll tell you what, let's make a right-hand turn. I want you to head back up. By the time we get over there, it shouldn't be raining anymore. And we'll go back up to about 700 feet or so. I can see Fantasy Flight. You can see the runway as well, and you can see the hangar. So we have I-4 off your left. Ahead of you, I can see there's a bluish green water tower. Let's go a little bit more to your right. There, on the end of our runway, there are some windsocks, and they're on top of the billboard down there. So at this point, you should be able to see it. Do you see it right there? The red flight, you can see. Okay, and we got our runway that goes from I-4 all the way through. And that's probably the runway we're going to land on, I would assume. And you can bring the power back to about 1700. Because if that storm isn't going that way, there should be some wind on our nose. I'm surprised if you saw lightning, because generally you see lightning, it'd be bumpy right here.
Yeah, you usually see more than one, but I swear it was a bolt of lightning somewhere.
I believe you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and land on that long runway there. I don't, and if the wind is bad once we get down there, we'll go around. But there's your runway there.
Okay.
So the idea on this thing here is we'll line it on up. We have high tension power lines on the end of our runway. And the idea is to keep it a little on the high side. On final, you have a mile of runway here. If you keep it a little on the high side, you'll be able to see the runway. If you drag the thing in, it's not so good because we have power lines down there. There it is, a little rain here. Now bring the power back for me. Watch these power lines. Now bring the power back some more. Way back, way back. Now listen to it. There's no wind. The winds are calm, so just hold her here. Now just make sure the heels are on the floorboards there. Now listen to it. Now round it on out, bring the nose up. Now keep it off the ground as long as you can. Now hold it here, look straight ahead. Beautiful. There's her. Yeah, well, you can't get any better than that. It's nice. Now, it's not over. Just keep it going straight by little tiny rudder inputs. Right around like 20 miles an hour, like right around here, it's going to start wandering around because we've lost the authority of the rudder. There you go. Good. Did you have fun?
Oh, I had a blast. Yeah, I could get used to flying one of these.
Nice job. And so you can just, we'll keep it nice and slow. You can just take me back on in. The timing could not have been perfect on that. We took off, did the whole flight, got to fly over some cool stuff, land in the rain in a Boeing Stearman on grass. That was cool. These are the days I love. Of course, generally we get the rain coming through here a little bit later on in the day. Not so much right now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because back up home it's just always so hazy that you don't get to see the pockets of rain like that.
Oh, really? Yeah, you definitely see them coming here. I guess I get to give this thing another bath today. Well, thanks for coming down. I enjoyed flying with you.
Oh, thanks for taking me up.
So we're going to bring it on in. And we'll put this thing right back where we found it here. And at least we know that, the weather's got to be going about this fast as far as we're taxiing, so the rain will be stopping here shortly, at least in theory. All right, we'll go to the right here. And straight on in. I'll tell you, Bob, I'll do him to take it here from you.
Okay,
So,
you're playing.
It rained a little bit, and we'll go all the way to the right. She'll swing right around. Got to shut her down. All you got to do is just bring that mixture control all the way back to lean. Take one more deep whiff, you'll smell some 100 octane. Great job.